little something like
Hello literates, I'm Britt. This is my channel, brittwriterly. Welcome back to Writer's Ambition. For those who've been hating since episode 1, use a real one. For those of you just finding my humble channel, welcome. We hope you stay a while. So, this is the November HonesTEA. Now, I know that it's not November anymore, but November was crazy. So this is going to be another HonesTEA where like I talk about my goals, but I also talk about just like the kind of month that I have. So it's not just going to be simple checklists. But to review my October goals are the goals that I had for November were, see, I'm all over the place. All my goals for the end of the year are the same, but to remind y'all what those rest of year goals are, I want to finish hashtag third fantasy. I want to finish hashtag first romance, nail down the fantasy genealogy between my series, and then finalize / clarify the magic system in Tales of Eliza Black. So I'm doing pretty good on those things, but I feel away. Here's why I feel away. I really wanted to finish hashtag third fantasy during NaNoWriMo. And I did a good job for like a week to 10 days of writing every day, which I'm glad of that because I made a lot of progress. But I'm not done yet with the first draft, and I'm just so not discouraged, just disappointed. And so also this random metal thing you're seeing is my straw. Travis, the book is dragging us back with us. I'm drinking a refresher. That's the tea. But anyway, I really, really wanted to finish. And I thought that I definitely would. So I think that's a good segue to talk about disappointment and managing disappointment as a writer, particularly as a writer for whom this is not your only job. Because managing disappointment when you're in the query trenches and like getting all the rejections, managing disappointment when you're applying to programs for funding and it's not coming up the way you want, you're applying for mentorship, it's not coming up the way you want, those are things, right? But there's also the disappointment that feels a lot more personal to me of I didn't need anybody to say yes to me. I just needed to hit this goal and I couldn't do that. Why? The why could be lots of reasons. For me, it was like travel and like stuff popping off in my apartment, just like crazy maintenance stuff and other personal things that just took a lot of time and emotional energy to where I feel like I've been tired for 2 weeks, no lie. So when the end of November came and I wasn't done yet, I was really down on myself and it honestly made me not even want to write for a few days because I was like, I'm supposed to be done with it and I'm still working on it. How aggravating. But you got to bounce back from that place. So I've really, like we've spoken about giving yourself grace before, but that is sometimes hard to do depending on the circumstances. Like sometimes you really feel like you should have been able to do something and you let yourself down. And that's sort of how I was feeling, even though that's not fair because I had a lot going on. I have a lot going on and it would have been great to finish hashtag third fantasy in November, but I didn't. But I did get close, and I am close, and I'm in the last chapter. I'm in the last half of the last chapter. Then I'm gonna write an epilogue, then we're gonna be done. So honestly, I could be done with this book in as few as 20 pages. Less than, probably. And it's only, at the time that I'm recording this, is only December 2nd. And so I'm feeling away, and I wanted to be able to say on the November HonesTEA, I'm done with hashtag third fantasy, yay, because that will then free me up to be able to work more on hashtag first romance, which I want to finish by the end of the month. We're now already in December, so I'm like, oh my freak, I'm actually going to be able to finish hashtag first romance, I need to start focusing more on Tales of Eliza Black in the beginning of the year, all of this in the middle of finishing grad school, right? And so I'm just starting to feel like, oh, because I missed this deadline, that's going to precipitate me falling behind on all my other deadlines, and then what am I going to do? Pause to hydrate. What I'm going to do is finish things in my own time. I'm not months behind because I didn't finish hashtag third fantasy November 1st because I do plan on finishing it this weekend. So hopefully by the time this comes up, it'll be done. And as far as hashtag first romance, once I finish hashtag third fantasy, which hopefully will be done this weekend, I'll be able to work on hashtag first romance, not just on the weekends. Stuff is like heating up with grad school, so who knows what the writing schedule will look like, but I think most important right now is like focusing on the very great, very difficult task of sustaining grace, because it's one thing to give yourself grace, but it's another thing to like really mean it and to be able to hold that grace over a span of days or even weeks if you're consistently struggling to meet goals that you made for yourself in calmer times, and now it's a bit chaotic and you're constantly not meeting those goals or barely meeting them or meeting them a little late. Like, it can be hard to continue to have grace for yourself. And so I'm really having to practice sustaining grace. This is just a busy time for me, and it is going to be a struggle to meet these goals. And I'm not even talking about revising them. I'm going to keep the goals. I'm going to continue to try to meet them as I can. But if I fall a little behind, I'm just going to keep trying to meet them as soon as possible. And it'll happen when it happens. And it's whatever, right? Because that's part of the grace of being an indie pub. I don't have a deadline. I don't have an external deadline. All my deadlines are internal. And so even though I want something to be out in the world at a certain time, which it still could, because I'm not trying to publish anything before this time next year anyway, even though I have internal deadlines that would make me feel most comfortable, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and I need to be nice enough to myself where writing doesn't become this very, like, stressful thing, especially when it's like, but it's a good thing. I'm finishing a story. I should be happy about that. I should have energy behind that and not just be like, I have to do this thing that I'm really late for. Like, I don't want to come into my writing as an awkward third party who feels outside of it because I didn't finish it when I wanted to. I want to continue to be an up-close, personal, welcome friend in my stories. So I have to remember to be nice to myself. That's been the main challenge of November, honestly. And so I finished, I'm almost done with hashtag third fantasy. I have not worked on hashtag first romance in weeks. Which is the other thing. I really felt like I was going to be able to, like, basically by the time I finished hashtag for third row, also, it's affecting my articulation. I'm so blah, blah, blah. I'm so tired. I'm better now because I took a nap, but I've been tired for 4 days. Imagine, if you will, the effect that has on one's ability to communicate. But I wanted to work on hashtag first romance every weekend. So by the time I finished hashtag third fantasy and made hashtag first romance a more primary project before the end of the year, by the time I made hashtag first romance the primary project, I was maybe like 75% done. At this point, I'm like 50% done, 53 maybe. That's just not where I want it to be. And so, do you see the theme of disappointment? It's been heavy this month, y'all. Very heavy on the disappointment. But I am really having to practice the grace part. Okay, so what notes did I write down for like a you did that? Here's what I did do, because that's what I didn't do. That's how I sort of have like processed and had to move through the disappointment of not getting done what I wanted to get done. But here's what I did do. I got to the big plot twist in Act 3 of hashtag third fantasy. I actually wrote like the scene of hashtag third fantasy last night. It's at the end of like the fight scenes and the climax, like bad guys are vanquished, but then something happens in the aftermath when they're like sort of coming down. She's still sort of in danger, coming down from it, trying to navigate through it, and she has this realization from facing this, not childhood trauma. I mean, yes, it was traumatic, but like, I don't want to say childhood trauma, like she's not still a child. She's 14, 15, so like, but something that happened to her 2 years ago that she's been like avoiding and circling and intentionally not recounting the entire story. She is forced back into this memory because of something that happens in the climax, and she realizes she doesn't really know what happened that day. And then we get introduced to a new antagonistic force, like a new evil. y'all, I'm so pleased with how that came together, because it was very spontaneous. And that's the part where it's like I want to continue to be a welcome participant, discoverer of my stories, not someone who's like creeping in like you're late to church, like, I'm sorry I'm late, let me just come in here and like execute and finish and just try to take the shortest road to the end. No, I want to continue to discover my stories. It's hard to do that when you're only thinking about how you need to finish. And I think we've all read sequels of books where it's like, this felt rushed. This felt like you didn't give yourself the time you needed to really live in the story and allow it to be what it wanted to be. Allow it to just like develop instead of forcing it to a particular milestone or benchmark for the sake of completion. I don't want to do that. And so I was glad that I like sat down, wrote, and came and discovered this really cool twist that prepares us for book 2, and I'm real happy about it. Like the way it came together, I was like, oh, butter, I love it. So that's the good thing. It's like, yeah, it was really difficult. It's been really difficult to make myself sit down and write because I'm like swimming through disappointment. But when I do get there, it's still a good space, and that is worthy of rejoicing. So I got to this. I got through all the major parts of the book. Now it really is just like the denouement, how it's coming down, how everything's being resolved, and then I'm going to write a short epilogue, and then I'm going to be out of there. So I did that. I'm real happy about that. I'm not as far as I wanted to be in hashtag first romance, but I am certainly chugging along. I'm a little bit past the midpoint. I was sitting at the midpoint for a long while. I am now a little bit past it. And it's now really becoming very much discovery, because I have an outline, but I've been sort of astray from that outline for a month, with no plans to return, really, which is fine. We can plant it. But because of that, I'm like, yeesh. Now how do I really know how far I am in the story? I'm just sort of like feeling my way, but I feel like I'm 53%. So it's going well. I'm finally past the like 50% mark, and now it's like 53. But I did that, even though I also did take a huge break from hashtag first romance that wasn't entirely intentional. And I also don't like that. I like making plans and being intentional. And I think part of the disappointment, like in addition to disappointment that I feel when I don't reach my goals, it's not just disappointment, it's also apprehension and anxiety that creep in, that I'm going to be behind, I'm going to become overwhelmed because of just the 12 balls that I have in the air this final year of grad school. And I'm like, this is the beginning of the end. And it's not. But that's the anxiety that begins to creep in. So it's not just disappointment. It is a very like logistical apprehension. Like, if this is behind, what else is going to get behind? But we're chugging along. I'm getting lots of ideas for the revision for hashtag post romance and hashtag third fantasy. I'm really excited to come back to hashtag third fantasy whenever that does happen. It's going to be a little minute so I can go back to hashtag first fantasy, but later on that next year, Lord will kick on rise. But chugging along on hashtag first romance, getting lots of ideas for the revision. Really excited about that. I'm trying to slow down and show 2 things. Number 1, the attraction that the characters have between each other, because it's a left triangle, and 2, how the romance is changing them. Those are my 2, and I said this, I think, last month. Those are my 2 major difficulties. Is because usually romance is a B plot for me, because I write fantasy. And so in trying to write romance, now it's the reverse. All the action has to be secondary to the romance and how it is changing the people. And I usually don't have to talk about that until Act 2. And now it's like, have I done enough in Act 1 to make clear their flaws? Not so that the adventure can change them, but so that it's clear how they can help each other evolve. And honestly, the 3 of them, how interactions with each other can help them evolve. The guys included, like how can sort of rubbing up against each other for her attention, how can that make you a better person? And I really want to get into that. That's probably gonna be something I have to do in revision, because it's not my strong suit yet, she said optimistically. It's not my strong suit yet. And so I think it'll be easier to see how to inject that attraction, that tension, that evolution when I see the entire story. And then I can like decrease and move back some of the like action to center rapport and attraction and all of those lovely things. Okay, so that's my November check-in. Just some honest tea about dealing with disappointment and anxiety. No tips for y'all. I'm just, sharing my own process. I'm not a therapist, a counselor, or in any way in the mental health field, so I won't pretend like I can advise you. I'm just sharing my process, but hopefully it's helpful for y'all. If you made it this far in the video, thank you very much. Make sure to smash that like button. If you have not smashed that subscribe button, please do, so we can be internet friends. And also comment sustaining grace, because that has truly been, this straw is so weird just sitting at the edge of my screen. That has really been my challenge for November into December, honestly, is sustaining grace. All right, y'all. Have an amazing day. Happy holiday season. I hope you're taking time outside of your books and your writing pads to spend time with family and to give yourself a non-guilty break. All right. Bye. I don't know why I continue to forget my new hoodie. Oh my gosh. Okay, my sister got me this hoodie for my birthday. It was a belated gift. I love it so much. The camera is now crooked after my antics. It says brittwriterly. That's me. That's me. That's me. Sitting on a bed of books. So yeah, this is probably like one of the most favorite gifts I've gotten from anybody, bar none. Not to be usurped in its top spot until I get a puppy. But anyway, I just want to show y'all my t-shirt. I will be wearing it all the time. Don't even try to stop me or to comment on it in an attempt to shame me out of my excessive wearing. That is all. Bye bye.